Dr. Hansol Kim looked out the window of the transport ship as it approached Stellar Station Aegis. The space station was huge. It looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly in space, with long arms stretching out from its center. Blue and white lights blinked along its surface, marking landing areas for ships. Hansol checked his medical bag one more time. Inside were his trusted tools from Earth, simple things like his stethoscope and more complex devices like his portable scanner. These tools had helped him save hundreds of lives back on Earth. Now they would help him treat aliens he had only read about in medical books. The transport ship's captain spoke over the speakers. "All passengers, please prepare for docking. Welcome to Stellar Station Aegis." Hansol felt butterflies in his stomach. This was his first assignment off Earth. The United Medical Corps had picked him because he was one of the best trauma surgeons in Seoul. They needed the best doctors they could find for this station. It was the only neutral medical facility in this part of space where different species could get treatment. As Hansol walked through the arrival area, he noticed how tall the ceilings were. They had to be high enough for the bigger alien species. He saw medical staff from many different worlds hurrying around. Some had scales instead of skin. Others had 4 arms. A few even floated instead of walking. A small robot came up to him. "Dr. Kim, I am M7, your guide. Please follow me to the medical wing." As they walked, Hansol saw his first predator species patient. It was a huge creature with dark armor-like skin and sharp claws. It was lying on a specially made bed, growling in pain. The medical staff treating it looked nervous. They kept their distance while trying to use long-handled tools to check its wounds. "That is a Nexus warrior," M7 explained. "They are one of the most dangerous species we treat here. Most doctors are afraid of them." Hansol watched with interest. The alien doctor's fear was making their patient more anxious. The Nexus warrior could sense their nervousness, which made it trust them less. This was making everything harder than it needed to be. They reached the main medical office where Dr. Taehyun Moon, the station's medical director, was waiting. He was another human doctor who had been here for 5 years already. "Welcome to Aegis, Dr. Kim," Taehyun said with a warm smile. "I hope your trip was good. We really need your help here." "Thank you, sir," Hansol replied. "I saw a Nexus warrior being treated on my way here. The medical team seemed to be having trouble." Taehyun nodded. "Yes, that's one of our biggest challenges. Predator species are hard to treat. They often attack doctors when they're hurt or scared. It's natural for them, like how a wounded animal might bite someone trying to help it. But it makes treating them very dangerous." "Have you tried understanding their body language?" Hansol asked. "Maybe there are signs that show when they're about to attack." "That's exactly why we wanted you here," Taehyun said. "You have special training in trauma cases. You know how to handle patients who might be dangerous. We need that knowledge." Their talk was interrupted by a loud alarm. Red lights started flashing in the hallway. "Emergency incoming," a voice announced over the speakers. "Nexus commander with critical injuries. All available trauma staff report to Emergency Bay 3. Taehyun looked worried. "This is bad timing. Our best trauma team just finished a long surgery. They're too tired to handle a Nexus commander." Hansol stood up. "I can help. I'm fresh and ready." "Are you sure?" Taehyun asked. "You just got here. Nexus commanders are even more dangerous than regular warriors. They're bigger, stronger, and more aggressive." "Someone needs medical help," Hansol said simply. "That's what I'm here for." As they hurried to Emergency Bay 3, Hansol felt calm. This was what he had trained for. Yes, the patient would be an alien predator instead of a human. But pain was pain. Fear was fear. The need for healing was the same across all species. He was ready to prove that human doctors could handle even the most dangerous patients in the galaxy. The emergency bay doors slid open. Hansol saw the Nexus commander for the first time. The alien was huge, almost 3 meters tall. Its dark armor-like skin was cracked in several places, showing deep wounds underneath. Blue blood dripped onto the floor. Commander Sangmin Park, M7 announced. He chose a human name after working with Earth traders. Multiple injuries from a ship crash. The other doctors stayed back. Even the robots kept their distance. But Hansol stepped forward, looking straight at the injured commander. Sangmin's eyes locked onto Hansol. They were bright yellow, like a cat's eyes, with black slits in the middle. The commander growled, showing sharp teeth. "I am Dr. Kim," Hansol said in a clear, calm voice. "I am here to help you. Do you understand me?" The commander nodded slowly. Then he growled something. N7 translated. "He says the pain is bad. He can't control his fighting instincts when someone touches the wounds." "That's okay," Hansol said. "We can work with that. First, I need to scan your injuries. I won't touch you yet. Is that acceptable?" Another nod. Hansol took out his scanner. The other medical staff watched in surprise as he worked. No one had ever gotten this close to an injured nexus without being attacked. 3 broken ribs, Hansol read from the scanner. Internal bleeding. 1 broken arm. These need surgery. He looked at Sangmin again. "Commander, we need to put you to sleep to fix these injuries. No other doctor has done this before with your species. Will you trust me?" Sangmin's yellow eyes studied Hansol for a long moment. Then he spoke in broken English. "Why? Not afraid." "Because you're not my enemy," Hansol answered. "You're my patient, and patients need help, not fear." The commander was quiet for a few seconds. Then he nodded again. Hansol turned to his team. "I need the strongest sedative we have, and get me the bone healing unit from Earth. Traditional alien medical tools won't work on his armor skin." "But doctor," one nurse said, "we've never sedated a Nexus before. Their bodies usually fight against sedatives." "That's because you've been using alien sedatives," Hansol explained. "Human sedatives work differently. We developed them to work even on patients who resist treatment." As they prepared for surgery, Hansol noticed Sangmin watching everything they did. The commander was still growling softly, but it wasn't as threatening now. He was trying to control his predator instincts. "You're doing well," Hansol told him. "Fighting instincts are normal. They kept your species alive. But now they need to rest so we can help you heal." The sedative was ready. Hansol explained each step to Sangmin before doing it. When he finally injected the medicine, the commander's eyes widened in surprise. Then, slowly, they closed. For the first time ever, a Nexus commander fell into a peaceful sleep for surgery. The medical staff couldn't believe it. They had never seen anything like this before. "How did you do that?" Dr. Tahyun asked in amazement. "Human medicine is different," Hansol said as he prepared for surgery. "We learned long ago that healing isn't just about fixing the body. It's about understanding the patient's fears and needs. Even predators can sense when someone truly wants to help them." As Hansol started the surgery, word spread through the station. A human doctor had done the impossible. He had earned a Nexus commander's trust and found a way to safely sedate him. More importantly, he had shown that even the galaxy's most dangerous predators could be treated without fear, if you understood them properly. This was just the beginning of what human doctors would teach the galaxy about healing. The surgery room was quiet except for the soft beeping of medical machines. Hansol worked carefully on Commander Sangmin's injuries. The Nexus commander's blue blood glowed slightly under the bright lights. His armor-like skin was tough, but Hansol's Earth-made tools cut through it cleanly. Dr. Tahyun watched from behind a safety screen with other medical staff. Nobody had ever operated on a Nexus commander before. They all wanted to learn from this historic moment. "Look at how the human bone healing unit adapts to the commander's unique bone structure," Hansol explained as he worked. "Our tools were made to work on many different types of bodies." 6 hours passed. Hansol fixed the broken ribs one by one. He stopped the internal bleeding. Then he worked on the broken arm, using special metal pins that would dissolve once the bone healed. Finally, Hansol stepped back. Surgery is complete. Now we wait for him to wake up. The medical staff moved the commander to a recovery room. They used the biggest bed they had, but Sang-min's feet still hung over the edge. Hansol stayed nearby, watching the monitors. What happens when he wakes up? A nurse asked nervously. Won't he be angry? He might be confused, Hansol said, but we'll handle it calmly. Fear only makes things worse. An hour later, Sang-min began to wake up. His yellow eyes opened slowly. He looked around the room, then down at his bandaged chest and arm. A low growl started in his throat. Hansol stepped forward where Sang-min could see him. Commander, the surgery is finished. You're in the recovery room. How do you feel? Sang-min's growl stopped. He looked surprised. Then he spoke in his rough English. Pain. Less. Much less. He moved his arm carefully. Can move. No hurt. That's right, Hansol said. The surgery went well. Your bones are healing already. The bandages have medicine that works with your armor skin to help it heal faster. The commander studied Hansol with those bright yellow eyes. Never sleep before. For doctors. Too dangerous. But you made sleep peaceful. Human medicine is gentle but strong, Hansol explained. Like humans themselves, we learn to heal without causing fear. Suddenly, the door opened. 3 more Nexus warriors rushed in. They were Sang-min's crew, coming to check on their commander. They saw him lying in the bed and started growling. Their claws came out. But Sang-min held up his good arm. Stop, he ordered in their language. N7 translated for Hansol. The commander is telling them you helped him. He says you are a true healer who understands their ways. The warriors stepped back. Then, to everyone's surprise, they bowed their heads to Hansol. It was a sign of deep respect in Nexus culture. News of the successful surgery spread quickly through the station. Other doctors came to learn about Hansol's methods. They wanted to know how humans could treat dangerous species so easily. It's simple, Hansol told them. We treat the whole patient, not just the injury. Understanding their fears is as important as understanding their bodies. In his bed, Commander Sang-min listened and nodded. He knew things would change now. Human doctors had proven they could help even the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and they had done it not with force or fear, but with wisdom and kindness. The barriers between species were starting to break down, one patient at a time. 2 weeks after Commander Sang-min's surgery, Stellar Station Aegis was busier than ever. Doctors from many worlds came to see the human medical team at work. Even more interesting were the new patients arriving at the station. Hansol was checking Sang-min's healing wounds when M7 rushed into the room. Doctor, there's someone important here to see you, a healer named Jaiwan Lee from the Claw Alliance. Sang-min's yellow eyes widened. The Claw Alliance was a group of predator species even the Nexus warriors respected. They'd rarely left their own space. Send them in, Hansol said calmly. Jaiwan Lee walked into the room on 4 powerful legs. She looked like a mix between a big cat and a bear, with dark red fur and sharp claws on all 4 feet. A special translator hung around her neck. Dr. Kim, she said through the translator, I have traveled far to meet you. We heard about how you treated the Nexus commander. Hansol bowed politely. Welcome to Aegis, Healer Lee. How can I help you? Our people have always had trouble with medical treatment, Jaiwan explained. Like the Nexus, our fighting instincts make it hard. Many of our people die from simple injuries because we cannot stay calm during treatment. She looked at Sang-min, who was sitting quietly, despite his natural urge to fight other predator species. But now we see it's possible to overcome these instincts. We want to learn human medical methods. Hansol smiled. Of course, we would be happy to share our knowledge. Just then, another alarm sounded. Emergency incoming, the speakers announced. Transport ship accident. Multiple predator species injured. All medical staff report for duty. Perfect timing, Hansol said. Would you like to see human medical techniques in action, Healer Lee? The emergency bay was chaos when they arrived. 3 different predator species were being brought in. Each one was dangerous, and each one was in pain. The other doctors looked nervous about treating them all at once. But Hansol stepped forward with confidence. Separate them by injury type, not species, he ordered. Prep human sedatives for all of them. And most importantly, stay calm. They can sense our emotions. Jaiwan watched in amazement as Hansol moved between the injured predators. He spoke softly to each one, explaining what he was doing. He showed no fear, even when they growled or snapped their jaws. One by one, the patients calmed down. The human sedatives worked perfectly. Soon, all the injured predators were sleeping peacefully while the medical teams treated them. Incredible, Jaiwan said. In our medical centers, this many predator species in one room would be impossible. There would be fighting, panic, maybe even deaths. But here, humans understand something important, Sangmin said, speaking carefully in English. He had stayed to watch. They know that helping others means putting aside fear. They are not the strongest or fastest species, but they are the best healers. Word of this event spread even faster than the news of Sangmin's surgery. Soon, predator species from all over the sector were requesting human doctors. Some traveled for weeks just to reach Stellar Station Aegis. We need more human medical staff, Tahyun told Hansol that evening. And we need to teach other species what we know. Hansol nodded. Human doctors were changing how the galaxy thought about medicine. It wasn't just about having the right tools or medicines. It was about having the right approach, treating every patient with understanding and respect, no matter how dangerous they seemed. A month had passed since Jaiwan Li's visit to Stellar Station Aegis. The station now had twice as many human doctors, including Dr. Yuma Choi, who had just arrived from Earth's best emergency hospital. Hansol was showing Yuna around the station when all the emergency alarms started blaring at once. Red lights flashed everywhere. The station's AI voice spoke with urgency. Major accident at Blue Star Mining Colony. Multiple ships incoming with hundreds of injured. Many predator species involved. How many injured? Yuna asked the nearest robot assistant. Early reports show 342 injured. M7 replied. 8 different predator species. Mining tunnel collapsed during shift change. First ships arrive in 20 minutes. Hansol and Yuna ran to the emergency command center. Dr. Tahyun was already there, looking worried. This is bad, he said. We've never handled this many predator patients at once. The panic could be dangerous. We can do this, Yuna said firmly. She had handled many large-scale emergencies on Earth. We need to use the human emergency system. Hansol, help me set it up. They quickly organized the medical staff into teams. Each team had at least one human doctor who could handle predator species. They prepared different areas for different types of injuries. Most importantly, they made sure they had enough human sedatives for everyone. The first ships arrived carrying injured miners. There were huge cat-like creatures, scaled hunters, and even some species the doctors had never seen before. Many were growling in pain. Some were trying to fight the medical staff. Remember your training. Hansol called out to the teams. Stay calm. Show no fear. Treat the worst injuries first, no matter what species they are. Yuna moved quickly between patients, checking injuries and giving orders. She showed the same calm strength Hansol had shown with Commander Sangmin. The predator species responded to her confidence, becoming calmer when she approached. In one corner, a young scaled hunter was panicking, his claws slashing at anyone who came near. Yuna walked straight up to him. You're safe here, she said clearly. We will help you, but first, you must let us close enough to treat your wounds. The hunter looked at her with fierce red eyes. Then, slowly, he lowered his claws. Hour after hour, more injured miners arrived. The human doctors worked without stopping. They treated broken bones, crushed limbs, and internal injuries. They helped patients who would have been too dangerous for other doctors to approach. Commander Sangmin came to help too. He spoke to the injured predators in their own languages, telling them to trust the human doctors. They saved my life, he told each one. They can save yours too. Finally, after 18 hours of non-stop work, the last patient was treated. No one had died. No doctor had been seriously injured. The human emergency system had worked perfectly. The next day, news about the crisis spread across the galaxy. Everyone was talking about how human doctors had treated hundreds of dangerous predators without a single death. It was something no one had thought possible before. This changes everything, Tahyun said to Hansol and Yuna. We've proven that human medical care works even in the worst situations. Hansol nodded. The galaxy was learning that humans had something special to offer. Not strength or advanced technology, but the ability to heal anyone, anywhere, no matter how dangerous they seemed. After the mining colony crisis, Hansol and Yuna spent many hours studying their medical records. They wanted to understand why human doctors were so successful with predator species. The answer was hidden in their patients' brain scans. Look at this, Hansol said, pointing to a screen in the research lab. Every predator species shows the same pattern when they're injured. Their brains light up in the survival centers first, before the pain centers. Yuna nodded. That's different from most species. For them, pain comes first, then survival instincts. But predators are built to fight first and feel pain later. Commander Sangmin was helping them with their research. He lay quietly in a scanner while they studied his brain patterns. Our ancestors needed to keep fighting even when injured, he explained. If we stopped to feel pain, we would die. That's why other doctors have such trouble treating you, Hansol said. They try to stop the pain first. But that's not what your bodies need. You need to feel safe before you can let yourself feel pain. This was a huge discovery. Hansol and Yuna wrote new medical guidelines based on what they learned. The first rule was simple. Help predator patients feel secure before trying to treat their injuries. They tested their new ideas with Jaiwan Lee, who had stayed at the station to learn human medical methods. When I treat my own people, she said, they often fight me. I thought it was because of the pain. No, Yuna explained. They fight because their brains are telling them they're in danger. Pain makes them think they need to defend themselves. The human doctors created new treatment rooms specially made for predator species. The rooms were large and open, so patients didn't feel trapped. They had clear exits that patients could see. Most importantly, they let patients choose their position during treatment. Let them face the door, Hansol taught the other doctors. Let them sit up if they want to. The more control they feel, the safer they feel. And the safer they feel, the better we can treat them. The results were amazing. When predator patients were allowed to follow their instincts instead of being forced to lie still, they became much easier to treat. Even simple medical procedures that used to be dangerous became routine. One day, a young Nexus warrior came in with a broken leg. Following the new guidelines, Hansol let him sit facing the door. The warrior stayed calm through the whole treatment. Afterward, he asked Hansol a question that showed how much things had changed. How do I become a doctor? The warrior asked. I want to learn human medicine. Word of these changes spread quickly. Medical centers across the galaxy started copying the human methods. They rebuilt their treatment rooms. They trained their doctors to understand predator psychology. Most importantly, they learned to work with their patients' instincts instead of against them. Humans are teaching us a new way to think about medicine, Jaiwan told her people. They show us that true healing means understanding, not just treating. Hansol and Yuna's research changed how the galaxy saw predator species. They weren't just dangerous patients anymore. They were beings whose natural instincts needed to be respected and understood. This understanding was the key to healing them. The Galactic Medical Council met only once every 5 years. This year, their meeting hall was packed. Representatives from every known species had come to hear about human medical practices. Among them sat Du-Hyun Kang, a hybrid medical administrator who had collected data from Stellar Station Aegis. Han Sol, Yuna, and Ta-Hyun sat in the front row. Commander Sang-min and Ji-Won Lee sat with them, proving that predator species could peacefully attend such meetings when they felt respected and safe. The council leader, a tall being with silvery skin, spoke first. "We are here to discuss the remarkable success of human doctors in treating predator species. Administrator Kang will present the evidence." Do-Hyun stood up and walked to the speaking platform. His voice was clear and strong. "For years, we thought predator species were too dangerous to treat properly. Our records showed that 1 in every 3 predator patients died from simple injuries because they fought against treatment." He showed images on the large screen behind him. "But look at the numbers from Stellar Station Aegis after human doctors arrived. In 1 year, they treated over 2,000 predator patients. Only 2 deaths, both from injuries that were too severe when the patients arrived." The council members whispered among themselves. These results were amazing. "How do humans do this?" Someone asked. "What special technology do they use?" "That's the most interesting part," Du-Hyun replied. "They don't use any special technology. They use basic medical tools, but with a completely different approach. They understand something we missed, that predator species aren't trying to be difficult. They're following natural instincts that kept them alive for thousands of years." He showed brain scan images that Han Sol and Yuna had made. Human doctors work with these instincts instead of fighting them. They create safe spaces. They explain everything they do. Most importantly, they show no fear. Commander Sang-min stood up. His powerful voice filled the hall. "I was the first Nexus commander ever to survive major surgery. The human doctor didn't succeed because he was stronger than me. He succeeded because he respected me." Ji-Won Lee spoke next. "My people have already started using human medical methods. Our death rate has dropped by 80%. More of our young ones want to become healers now. They see it's possible to help others without losing their predator nature." The council leader looked thoughtful. "This changes much of what we believed about medical care. Perhaps we were wrong to think that advanced technology was the answer. The humans show us that understanding is more important than fancy machines." Do-Hyun showed more data. Human doctors have the highest survival rates, the lowest complication rates, and the highest patient trust ratings. They achieve this across all species, not just predators. Their methods work because they treat the whole patient: body, mind, and instincts. The council talked for many hours. In the end, they made a historic decision. Human medical practices would become the new standard across the galaxy. All medical schools would teach human methods. All hospitals would be redesigned to follow human guidelines. As they left the meeting, Han Sol smiled. Humans had found their place in the galaxy. They weren't the strongest or the most advanced species, but they had something just as valuable: the ability to understand and help others, even those that everyone else feared. 1 year after the Galactic Medical Council meeting, Stellar Station Aegis looked very different. The station had grown twice as large. Its newest addition was a gleaming building with a special name: the Human Predator Medical Academy. Han Sol stood at the entrance of the academy, looking at the strange mix of students inside. Young doctors from Earth learned alongside Nexus warriors, scaled hunters, and members of the Claw Alliance. They all worked together, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. "The first class graduates next month," Yuna said, walking up beside him. She had become the academy's head teacher. Every single student has completed their training successfully. Through the window, they could see Commander Sang-min teaching a class. He had become an expert in helping predator species overcome their medical fears. His own experience as a patient made him a perfect teacher. Remember, they heard him tell the students, Fear is natural, but trust can be stronger than fear if you earn it properly. In another classroom, Jaewon Lee taught students about different species instincts. She had brought many healers from the Claw Alliance to study at the academy. They were learning to combine their natural hunting skills with gentle healing abilities. A predator's sharp eyes and quick reactions can save lives, she explained. We just need to use these skills for healing instead of hunting. Do-hyun Kang arrived from his office at the Galactic Medical Council. He carried exciting news. The success rates are even better than we hoped, he told Hansol. Every medical center that uses human methods has seen huge improvements. Even non-predator species prefer these methods now. The station's medical bay was busy as always. But now, injured predators arrived without fear. They asked for human doctors by name. Some traveled across the galaxy just to be treated at Aegis. A young human doctor ran up to Hansol. Dr. Kim, we have a patient asking for you. It's a Nexus Elder. They say they won't let anyone else treat them. Hansol smiled. Just 3 years ago, no one would have believed that predator species would trust human doctors so completely. Now it was normal. That evening, Hansol, Yuna, and Taehyun sat in the station's observation room, looking out at the stars. The room was full of doctors and students from many species, all talking and learning from each other. Did you ever think it would turn out like this? Taehyun asked. When you first arrived at Aegis, I knew humans had something special to offer, Hansol replied. But I didn't know it would change the whole galaxy. A group of students walked past, talking excitedly about their lessons. Humans and predators walked side by side, comfortable with each other. Some of the predator students even wore the white coats of medical trainees. That's our real success, Yuna said. Not just healing bodies, but healing the fear between species. We showed the galaxy that understanding is the best medicine of all. As night fell on Stellar Station Aegis, the lights of the Human Predator Medical Academy glowed brightly. Inside, the next generation of doctors, human and predator alike, learned the most important lesson of all. That true healing comes from the heart, not from fear or force. It was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, and it would live on through all the lives they saved.